I'm Nigel Poustie. I'm from Sunbeam Ales in West Leeds.
Can you just tell us a bit about your massive operation? How did you start the business?
I started in 2012, initially from a kitchen in Beeston, and then 3 years into the business moved here, and that's when I left my job, and this is my full-time job now.
Can you just tell us a little bit about your brewery? Because it's
in a small garage, as you can see, and I produce 8 firkins a brew. So one of these is 8 firkins, 8 barrels, and I can do that twice a week. So 16 firkins a week potentially.
And what were you doing before, and how did you get into brewing?
I was a support worker for adults with learning disabilities, but alongside that I was a semi-professional climber. So I did support work because I did long shifts, 2 shifts a week, and the rest of the time I was climbing. I was a sponsored climber.
And the brewing side of things, you must have had a strong interest in brewing.
Yeah. I've always, I started drinking cask ale as a 16, 17-year-old with my dad, and quickly went to beer festivals in York. So ever since then I've always loved cask ale. And then, my second child was born, and I was home brewing a lot, and it just got out of hand. I won a national home brewers competition, and I was getting requests for beer up and down the country, and I thought, oh, better make this legitimate, and that's what happened. And then I started supplying Beer Ritz Bottle Shop in Headingley, which is sadly no longer. That was the sole supplier back in them days, because that was on my hob in my kitchen. And then, then I filled the occasional cask, which went to Friends of Ham in Leeds, and then it snowballed.
And who and where do you supply now?
I've got house beers quite a few places now. I've got a house beer at Jacobs in Bradford, a bitter. I've got a pale ale at Oscar's in Morley and Billy's in Cleckheaton, and then the supply quite a lot in Wakefield and Halifax, and a solid customer in York. The Swan in York, Polka Hop in Wakefield, Big Six in Halifax, Cross Keys in Siddle, Hebden Bridge, all over the place really. Yeah.
And your brewery really is tiny. It's in a garage, and you're able to produce award-winning beers. Yeah,
I've won quite a few awards over the years. Recently, the Parachuting Hedgehog at Bradford won Mild at the festival. The size is, obviously there's a way of doing things, and you can't do it any other way because you can't fit it any other way. So I don't know if anybody else will come in here and brew off the cuff, because there's a way, like say, to clean things. It's a nightmare because you can only move that way and this that way, but yeah, it works.
Have you ever thought about expanding?
Brief moments but really it's the easy. I've got a young, well, not young anymore actually, but I've got a family that I like to be there for, and I can just check temperatures from my kitchen, and I don't have to go to unit, just to check a temperature on a Saturday morning, which is going to, be annoying.
Where do you get your ideas for your brews? Because some of them are very interesting brews that you put together.
I don't know really, just flavours I like, I've always liked cooking and baking, so I suppose I like ingredients, and I just thought I'd try and think of ideas.
Because you do source some of your ingredients as well.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm doing a elderflower lemon and lime pale ale, which I do once a year. I've done it once a year since I started putting beer in cask. And I get my elderflower from my daughter's school outside the gates there. So that's tomorrow's brew. And like I say, that's always goes down a treat.
The future for the business, have you got any plans?
Keep doing the same as, it's difficult, so just keep producing good beer, and hopefully it goes out the door. That's the main thing for me. I don't have any desires on becoming, you know, big brewery. No, just keep putting good beer out there.
And lastly, it's a bit of a family affair because you pump clips in the artwork.
Yeah, that's my wife. She's a designer. Her main gig is 3D pop-up cards. Merry Day Studios, she calls herself. Faye Stevens design, you know, Faye Stevens is a design name. So yeah, she does my pump clips. She also does pump clips for a brewery in Norfolk, actually, Steamshed Brewing. So yeah, she's a designer, and yeah, people love her work. Sells my beer a lot, you know, the design. People always comment on it.